Stop right here. Don't scroll. Don't let your hand move past this moment, because this is not just another video. This isn't random. This isn't chance. This is heaven interrupting your day to get your attention. This is not a message for the crowd, not for the thousands who might pass by, but for you. Yes, you. Because you've been searching. You've been aching for a sign, a whisper, a reminder that you haven't been forgotten. Behind your smile, there's been a storm. Behind your "I'm fine," there's been exhaustion. You've been clapping for others, cheering them on when their blessings arrived, but then going home and whispering into the silence, "God, what about me?" You've cried in secret while the world thought you were strong. You've prayed with a trembling voice and wondered if heaven even heard you. You've tried to be faithful, tried to keep believing, but deep down you've asked yourself, did God forget my name? Did my prayers get lost somewhere in the noise? Did I miss my chance? And right now, heaven leans in and answers you with this. The case is over. The decision has already been made in your favor. The verdict has been written, signed, sealed. You've been waiting for the answer, but heaven is saying it's already done. I know the enemy has been loud, whispering that you're too late, that you missed your season, that you don't measure up, that God has moved on to people more worthy, more holy, more perfect than you. But listen closely. When God starts something, He always finishes it. He's not pacing the floors of heaven, trying to figure out what to do with your life. He's not confused. He already saw the ending before you even began the journey. He already wrote the victory before the battle even started. That mountain standing in your way, it's not bigger than your God. That delay you're feeling, it's not denial, it's preparation. That silence you've been living in, it's not rejection, it's alignment. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. That's not an opinion, it's a promise. So what if, and just think about this, what if the thing you've been waiting for isn't waiting to happen someday in the far-off future? What if it's already been settled? What if the breakthrough, the healing, the open door you've been praying for has already been declared in heaven, and the only thing left is for you to catch up to what God already said is yours? That relationship you thought was over, healed in heaven. That financial breakthrough you've been desperate for, already approved in heaven's courts. That purpose you thought was slipping away, already written into eternity. And this moment, this very second, is your proof. Faith is not about what you can see with your eyes. Faith is believing what God has already declared, even when the evidence hasn't shown up yet. Faith is standing in the storm and saying, "My victory is already signed." If you're still watching right now, that's not an accident. That's proof. Proof that God wants you to hear this and know deep in your bones that the battle is already over. Victory is already yours. Freedom is already yours. Peace is already yours. And heaven is declaring to you, it's done. The case is over. But I know what you're thinking. If the case is over, why does it still feel so heavy? Why do I still feel stuck in this endless waiting room of life? Why do I still wake up tired, still cry when no one's looking, still feel like my prayers are bouncing back off the ceiling? I've been there too. There was a night when I couldn't fake the strength anymore. I had been doing all the right things, fasting, praying, showing up, saying the right words, but nothing around me was moving. Nothing was shifting. And I remember sitting in my room with the lights off, the door shut, sinking to the floor and whispering, "God, I can't do this anymore." Not the picture-perfect prayer of faith you hear in church. Not the polished words of someone who has it all figured out. I'm talking about the raw, broken prayer that leaks out when you've reached the end of yourself. The kind where your voice cracks, your tears burn, and you don't even know if God is listening anymore. Have you been there? The place where your faith feels like it's on life support? Where you wonder if maybe the promises were for everyone else, but not for you? People see your highlight reel, but they don't see the waiting room. They don't see the nights you wrestled with doubt, the mornings you dragged yourself out of bed, wondering how much longer you could hold on. They don't see the way you clapped for others while quietly asking, "Why not me?" They don't see the way you tried to keep smiling while your heart was breaking. And it's in that exact place, in the middle of my breakdown, that I heard it. Not a loud voice booming from the sky, not thunder or lightning, just a whisper deep in my spirit that said, "The case is over." At first, I didn't get it. How could the case be over when nothing had changed? How could it be finished when I was still in the middle of the storm? But then it hit me. God doesn't speak from the middle. He speaks from the end. He doesn't look at your situation and guess how it might turn out. He declares how it already has. He is the beginning and the end. When he says done, it's not a hope. It's not a suggestion. It's a conclusion. And that changed everything. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine walking into a courtroom. The air feels heavy, the kind of weight you can almost touch. The walls echo with silence, and all eyes are on you. In front of you sits the judge. Not just any judge, but the one who has existed before time itself. His gaze is steady, piercing through every layer of your life. On the table in front of him are books, stacked high, page after page, filled with everything you've been through. The failures you can't erase, the mistakes that haunt you at night, the tears you cried when nobody saw, the prayers you whispered under your breath when you felt too weak to pray out loud. And then, across the room, there's the accuser. He's loud, arrogant, pointing his finger at you, reciting every wrong turn, every moment of weakness, every reason why you should be disqualified from blessing, from favor, from peace. He's listing the evidence against you like he's sure he's already won, and maybe part of you believes him because the evidence feels overwhelming. But then, something happens. The judge lifts his hand. The room goes silent. Every whisper, every accusation, every fear disappears in a single moment. And with authority that shakes the ground, he declares, "Case closed." The gavel falls. Not guilty. Cleared, free, vindicated. And the sound of that gavel isn't just wood hitting wood. It's heaven sealing your future. Do you understand what this means? It means that your life is not defined by the accusations against you. It means your story is not over when the enemy says it is. It means you're waiting, you're wondering, you're worrying. It has an expiration date. And heaven already stamped it with the word, "finished." This isn't about how good you've been. It's not about how perfectly you've played by the rules. It's about a cross that was lifted 2,000 years ago on a hill called Calvary. It's about blood that was shed so every accusation, every guilty verdict, every shameful memory would be silenced once and for all. And I need you to let this sink in. The delay you feel is not a punishment. It's not God keeping you at arm's length. It's preparation. It's Him aligning you with what He already decided belongs to you. The case is over, but now He's preparing your hands to carry the victory that's been assigned to your name. Think of it like this. A seed doesn't sprout the moment it touches the soil. It has to break open in the dark first. It has to sit in silence, covered, hidden, pressed down, while life stirs inside of it. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. From the surface, it looks like dead ground. But underground, roots are digging deep. Strength is being built. And soon, what was hidden will break through. That's where you are right now. Hidden doesn't mean forgotten. Covered doesn't mean canceled. Buried doesn't mean dead. It means roots are being built for the harvest God already declared is yours. And let me tell you something else. The enemy knows your case is closed. That's why he's been trying so hard to distract you, to wear you down, to convince you you're too late. If he can't steal the verdict, he'll try to steal your belief in it. He'll try to get you to quit before you see what was promised. But don't you dare hand him that victory. Don't you dare agree with his lies. You've come too far. You've survived too much. You've cried too many tears for this to be the end of your story. There's a reason you're still breathing. There's a reason this message found you. Heaven hasn't changed its mind about you. The decision still stands. Favor is still on your name. Breakthrough is still in your future. So what do you do when life hasn't caught up yet to what heaven already declared? You move as if it's already yours. You praise like the answer is already in your hands. You prepare like the door has already opened. You walk into rooms with the confidence that the judge of the universe has already ruled in your favor. It may not make sense to the people around you. They may not understand why you're still holding on, why you're still believing, why you're still expecting when nothing looks different. But faith has never been about what's obvious. Faith is about building an ark before the rain comes. It's about marching around walls that haven't cracked yet. It's about singing songs of victory before the chains hit the floor. So hear me, you're not waiting for permission to be blessed. You're not waiting for approval to be chosen. You're not waiting for the enemy to give up before you walk in freedom. The gavel has already hit the bench. The decision is sealed. Heaven has declared, the case is over. And from this moment on, every step you take, every prayer you whisper, every breath you breathe is proof that you believe it. You're not living like someone on trial anymore. You're living like someone who has already been vindicated. You're not carrying shame anymore. You're carrying favor. You're not walking like someone who's unsure. You're walking like someone whose victory is guaranteed. Because when God says done, it's not a maybe. It's not a someday. It's final. And your life is about to unfold into the proof of what heaven already declared. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is every mistake you've made, every wrong turn, every voice that ever told you you weren't enough. In front of you is a fog so thick, you can't see what lies ahead. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, and every part of you wants to step back. But then, in the stillness, you hear it again. That quiet whisper, step forward. The case is over. You hesitate. Because how do you step into a future you can't see? How do you trust a verdict you can't touch? How do you walk forward when everything in your life feels like it's holding you back? But something inside of you knows this isn't just another risk. This is a leap into a story already written, a destiny already sealed. The ground may look shaky, but heaven already declared it solid beneath your feet. Let me tell you something I've learned. The greatest battles you will ever face don't happen in the world around you. They happen in the silence of your own mind. It's the battle between what God has said and what your circumstances are screaming. It's the tug of war between the promise and the process. One voice tells you to give up, to quit, to stop embarrassing yourself by believing in something that hasn't shown up yet. And then there's that other voice, softer, but stronger, reminding you of what heaven already decided. And maybe right now, you're caught in that war. Maybe you've been staring at unanswered prayers, unopened doors, dreams that feel like they're fading. Maybe you've been convincing yourself that it's safer to expect nothing, so you won't be disappointed. But listen, safety was never your calling. Fear was never your destiny. You weren't created to shrink back. You were created to rise, to step, to walk into promises that defy logic. Think about it. When a sculptor begins with a block of marble, to everyone else it looks like nothing, just a chunk of stone. But the artist sees what no one else can. He sees the masterpiece hidden inside. And with every strike of the chisel, with every fragment that falls away, the vision becomes clearer. That's what God is doing with you. Every disappointment, every closed door, every delay. It wasn't to destroy you. It was the chisel, carving away the excess, shaping you into the masterpiece heaven already saw. And I know what you might be thinking, but it hurts. Yes, it does. Transformation isn't painless. Growth isn't gentle. Becoming who you were always meant to be feels like breaking sometimes. But the breaking is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming. Do you know why gold is so valuable? Because before it shines, it has to survive the fire. Before it glitters, it has to endure the heat. The flames don't destroy it, they reveal it. And that's what your season has been, a refining fire. The heat you felt wasn't proof of abandonment, it was proof of value. Heaven only refines what is priceless, and you, my friend, are priceless. That's why I need you to understand this. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified. You are right on time, right where heaven intends for you to be. And even though the fog in front of you is thick, even though the path looks hidden, the verdict still stands. The case is over. The future is secure. So let me ask you, what would you do differently if you actually believed it was already done? Would you walk with your head higher? Would you stop apologizing for existing? Would you finally take the risk, write the book, launch the business, pick up the phone, chase the dream? Would you stop waiting for permission to live and finally start living like the chosen one you already are? Because here's the truth. Faith isn't waiting for the evidence to show up before you act. Faith is moving as though the evidence already exists. Faith is packing your bags before the door opens. Faith is preparing the nursery before the baby is born. Faith is praising in the middle of the night before the morning comes. And I know it's not easy. Sometimes faith feels like standing in the middle of a battlefield with nothing but a whisper to hold on to. But what if that whisper is enough? What if the voice that said, "The case is over," is more powerful than every storm, every doubt, every delay? Let me remind you, the same God who parted seas, who brought walls crashing down, who rolled stones away from tombs, that same God is writing your story, and He hasn't lost a case yet. You may feel like your life has been stuck in pause, like everyone else is moving ahead while you're sitting in the waiting room of destiny. But let me promise you something. The waiting room is not wasted time. Heaven uses waiting to prepare you, not to punish you. The waiting room is where courage grows. The waiting room is where faith matures. The waiting room is where you learn to recognize the whisper of God above the noise of everything else. And soon, sooner than you think, the door will open. And when it does, you'll realize that every tear, every prayer, every lonely night was not in vain. You'll realize that heaven had been aligning things the whole time, preparing you for a blessing bigger than you imagined. So hold on. Don't let go now. Don't stop believing. Don't silence your hope to protect yourself from disappointment. Hope again. Believe again. Walk again. Because the gavel has already struck, the judge has already spoken, and the courtroom of heaven has already declared your freedom. The case is over, and your next chapter is about to begin. There comes a moment in every story when the silence feels unbearable. A moment where the pages seem blank, where heaven feels distant, and you wonder if maybe you've been forgotten. You look at your life, and it feels like standing in front of a locked door with no key in sight. You knock, you wait, you knock again, but the door doesn't move. And little by little, the questions grow louder. What if nothing changes? What if this is it? What if I'm not chosen after all? But listen closely. Just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean the room on the other side is empty. Sometimes heaven keeps the door closed because what's being built for you isn't ready to be revealed. Would you walk into a house while the foundation is still wet, the walls unfinished, the roof incomplete? No. You'd wait until it was solid, safe, strong enough to live in. That's what God is doing with your destiny. He's not denying you. He's protecting you until the promise is ready to hold the weight of your future. Think of an orchestra before the concert begins. The musicians are tuning their instruments. The sound feels chaotic, disorganized, like nothing beautiful could ever come from it. But then the conductor steps in. He raises his hand, the chaos stills, and suddenly the noise becomes harmony. That's what your life has looked like lately. Noise, confusion, moments that don't make sense. But heaven is the conductor, and when the hand of God moves, everything falls into place. What once sounded like disorder will become the music of destiny. And here's something you need to hear. You are not defined by your last mistake. You are not trapped by your lowest moment. You are not disqualified because of what others said about you. You've been replaying the past like a broken record, letting it convince you that the future can't be different. But the past has no authority here. The judge who declared your case closed doesn't consult your history to decide your destiny. He looks at the sacrifice already made, the blood already shed, the victory already sealed. That's the final word. You've been measuring yourself by your scars. But have you ever thought that scars aren't signs of defeat? They're proof of survival? Every scar you carry is evidence that the battle didn't break you. That storm tried to drown you, but you're still breathing. That fire tried to burn you, but you're still standing. That valley tried to bury you, but here you are. The scars don't disqualify you, they certify you as a survivor. And let's talk about those dreams you've been burying, the ones you've quietly tucked away, because they felt too big, too impossible, too risky. Dreams to love again, to create again, to lead, to build, to live boldly. You buried them because you thought it was safer to stop hoping. But I'm telling you now, it's time to dig them back up, because those dreams weren't accidents. They were planted by heaven, and if heaven planted them, heaven also intends to water them.